Welcoming to the show for the first time, Kendall Scudder. He's the chairman of the Texas Democrat Party. Welcome to the James Show, Kendall.
Thanks so much for having me.
And don't worry, there's not going to be any gotcha moments, or we're not going to try and turn this into some sort of viral moment. First of all, thank you for coming on, because we've just been asking Democrats for a year and a half. I've been on WBAP for a year and a half now to come on the show. And you're the second one that's come on. So first off, thank you very much, Kendall.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for inviting me. We don't have to agree on everything to have a conversation.
Right. Well, let's go ahead and start with the wide look. I know you're the Texas Democrat chairman, but on the national level, there is hints that you're thinking about running Kamala Harris again in 2028. How legitimate is that?
I'm not 100% sure. I really don't have a lot of kind of top secret intel there. What I do know is that the 2028 primary will probably be pretty crowded on the Democratic side, even if Kamala Harris makes the decision to run. Ultimately, the DNC, the state party, the party apparatus, we're not recruiting people into those races. The people who decide to run are going to run, and our job is to make sure that they're treated fairly in that process. Well,
without having any inside information myself, it would appear to most of the outside world that your front runners would be AOC and Bernie Sanders, and maybe even a local favorite here, Jasmine Crockett. Is that about what you're seeing?
I wouldn't necessarily say that they're front runners. I think you're way too far off to be able to say who is and isn't a front runner. But I think we have a really strong bench, right? I think you have folks like Buttigieg and Pritzker and Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom. They're also there too. I think you're describing people on the left wing of the party. I think that they'd probably be front runners for that section of the party, but we're a pretty ideologically diverse party. And so you'll have people from all over the ideological spectrum from within our party kind of stepping up and trying to stake their claim to the party's messaging.
Yeah, that's kind of my next question is who do you see as next on the bench? And so you just threw out some names there, Buttigieg, Pritzker, Gavin Newsom. But if y'all are looking for sort of your answer to Donald Trump, and that not being him the person, but a successful businessman, billionaire, guy who has name recognition and has media presence, who's maybe hosted a TV show before. You have one right here in town called Mark Cuban. Why not Mark Cuban? Does he not want the job? Because of all the Democrats to run for office, the Democrat that would probably get the most sympathy from me would be Mark Cuban.
Well, look, if Mark Cuban wanted to run, I'm sure he'd have the ability to do that. We're not here to stop anyone from running. We're not here to, from my perspective, I'm a chief primary administrator, right? So we just want to make sure everybody's treated fairly. What I will say is, as a party, we're not out here trying to recreate what y'all have done with Donald Trump. We're not interested in having, billionaires with gold-plated toilets on top of our ticket. I think that the party needs to focus on making sure that we have just authentic messengers that advocate for the working class. That's the section of the party that I come from. I'm an East Texas farm boy, right? So to me, what I'm looking for in a candidate is somebody who gets out of bed every morning and tries to figure out how to make life easier for working people.
Where'd you go to high school?
So I went to high school in Sulphur Springs, Texas.
Yeah, I went to Chapel Hill. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you were in my district my junior and senior year. So.
Well, I'm sorry that we beat you so bad, I'm sure.
You beat us in football, but I played soccer against y'all, and we actually beat you at that. So yeah, it's kind of a push.
It all comes out in the wash, yeah.
All right, we're talking with Kendall Scudder. He's the Texas Democrat chairman. Your thoughts on the election results that just happened over the weekend? Y'all ran the table in Mansfield and what was it, Keller?
Well, I think we had a 11-0 win in Tarrant County with a bunch of different races that the Tarrant County Republican Party endorsed in. I'd like to take credit for all of that as the new chairman of the party. But, of course, I think what it really is people don't really want extremists on their school boards. And I think it works for either direction. They don't want people that are pushing ideological agendas. They just want school districts that function and are responsible with their tax dollars and are making sure that their schools are running appropriately. And when people go too far down those tracks of trying to push their agendas, it starts to piss a community off. And I think that's what you probably saw this most recent election.
So also in Austin right now, we have the legislative session where the Senate seems to be getting a whole lot of stuff done, but the House is just a dumpster fire of non-productivity here. And from the point of view of the average Republican in North Texas, they're pulling their hair out because they got sent down to Austin with a pretty handy majority there, and they're not getting any of the agenda passed, or I should say very little of the agenda passed. So from the point of view of you, Kendall Scudder, as the Texas Democrat chairman, are you celebrating on how good of a job y'all have done in stopping the agenda with just a minority in the House?
Man, I think I have a different opinion of that than you. I'm really frustrated with the Senate because they're sitting on their hands instead of passing things like public school funding increases. The House is moving on what I think was an absolutely terrible public school package with this voucher plan. I would have preferred for them not to have passed that. But, I mean, right now it was supposed to be paired with about a $4 to $5 billion increase on public school funding. And it's just stagnant right now in the Senate because they won't do their jobs. So I don't view that the same way you do. In fact, the House has passed, I think it's like 27 different Senate bills, and only 2 House bills have even come out of the Senate. So they're all just stacking up on Dan Patrick's desk, and he's refusing to move them. Well,
the Senate's passed like 300 bills.
But not House bills.
Right. So they
get to actually create law.
Right. So, look, that gridlock is, I would think you'd be happy with that because you're the party that's out of power, and the party that's in power with a sizable majority isn't just steamrolling their agenda through. I was giving you credit, Kendall.
Anytime that there is a wedge in the Republican Party, it certainly serves to our advantage. And I love whenever they are fighting over policy because it means that we aren't the only ones in the room that are upset about something, and it allows it to drag a little bit. And we can try to have more opportunities to make it better.
All right. So Donald Trump was on Meet the Press this weekend, and he was talking about your Democrat bench like we were talking about at the beginning of this conversation. I want to get your response to this clip here, Kendall.
Look at the Democrats. They're in total disarray. They have a new person named Crockett. I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person.
Sorry, it'll continue.
They said she's the future of the party. I said, you have to be kidding. I don't know what they're going to do. And I really believe in a two-party system. Because it's good to be challenged. It's really good to have a two-party. It's good. Being challenged is okay. It keeps you sharp. I don't know what they're going to do. They have nobody. Bernie's 87 years old or something.
So I don't expect him to say anything nice about the Democrats, but is there a tinge of truth to that? Do your bench is kind of shallow?
No, I don't think there's any truth to that. And if Donald Trump thinks he's so smart and he's so great, he should go and try to run for Congress in South Dallas against Jasmine Crockett and see how he does.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't win that.
I think we have a great bench of folks who know their communities, who advocate for them. Just because they don't communicate the same way he does, that doesn't mean that they're incompetent or unable to do their jobs. I think we have a very diverse party with a lot of people in it that in our coalition that aren't like each other. And it's hard to balance that and make sure we have a bunch of diverse voices, too, in that process. He doesn't have to like the way that 2 different people communicate, but she does a damn good job. And if he ran against her for Congress in South Dallas, she'd kick his butt.
Yeah, well, if any Republican ran against anybody in South Dallas, they would probably lose. So let's be real here. He speaks low about Jasmine Crockett, but she's not stupid. She's not low IQ. I really think she might be the future of your party because she handles the media so well. Where did she come from? Because we didn't hear about her a year and a half ago.
I agree with you that Jasmine Crockett is not a dumb person. I know her. I know her well, and she's very quick and very savvy. She's a pretty smart person. She came from the state house where she kind of shot up like a rocket ship there. She wasn't even in the state house for very long. They just elevated her pretty quickly. That doesn't happen on accident. You have to be a person who really is connected to their community and is really advocating for them for that to be able to get traction.
India announced that they attacked Pakistan. Now, they said they attacked 9 targets in Pakistan. Pakistan says 3 targets were attacked. So already we're having reporting that's not matching up. So to help make some sense of this, Jim Blythe is joining the James Show. Jim Blythe is a third-generation Navy veteran and currently the host of the Veterans Impact Show. Welcome, Jim.
Hey, buddy. How are you doing today?
Better than Pakistan, or at least Pakistani militants, that is. So India was distinct in their language and saying we were attacking just the militant group that did the terror attack last week. We didn't hit any Pakistani military targets. So I guess they're just trying to make sure this thing doesn't escalate. Is that what that's about?
Well, let's go back. This goes way back to when in India, the Muslims went to Pakistan and Bangladesh.
Right. After the whole Gandhi freedom from the British Empire. Right.
Yeah. And there was so much animosity that in 1973, Bangladesh had a bunch of, you call them militants, they called them terrorists, that were attacking India. India then attacked them and shut them down in 1973. So this has been going on for a very, very, very long time. And so the same thing was going out of Kashmir, Pakistan, and Pakistan. I checked with a couple of my sources right after I saw this, and they say it's going to be really 24 to 48 hours before we really know what happened in the truth. But India it slammed the door on them and hitting these terrorists. Now, here's the thing, okay? If it was a conventional war, India would be all over Pakistan and it would be probably over. But you've got two nuclear superpowers there, Pakistan and India, both equipped with nuclear weapons. And if Pakistan was all out attacked and then they threw a nuclear weapon, all hell would break loose in that part of the world. And just think about it for a minute. There is a really serious threat to world peace, in my opinion, from the fact that you got two nuclear powers that hate each other so much, that share borders, and Pakistan, we've known this for a long time. They're collaborating and they're supporting these terrorists that are doing bad things and shooting stuff into India. What we don't know is how well equipped they are, whether or not they're using cyber technology and cyber warfare, or whether or not they're using drones. It said it was missiles. One said it was so many. The other said it's 5. CNN says one thing. Reuters says another.
Yep.
Nobody really knows because this just happened. I'm not worried about what just happened. What's going to keep me up late tonight is what's next, because if Pakistan throws a nuclear weapon, we got real trouble. So that's where I think we need to stand by and watch and see what happens.
Well, Jim Blythe, we're talking with Jim Blythe from the Veterans Impact Show. The problem I see with this is there's just so many targets. India is the most populous country in the world. Pakistan's number 5. And if you want to throw in Bangladesh, their number 8, as tiny as they are. So could there be a worse place to have a nuclear war?
Well, in my backyard, yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess Dallas would be worse. Good point. Solid point there. Let me ask it a different way. Is there any way this could spill out and turn into a world war?
Yeah, I think it could, because basically you've got the Soviet Union that's been backing terrorist groups. We know they backed a lot in Iran. Pakistan and Iran, I think, are closely allied. This could get out of hand in a big hurry if it went nuclear. If it goes conventional, I think it'll be over, kind of like the one that was in Azerbaijan a couple of years ago. But if it goes nuclear, that's the real threat. And could it go to a world war? Yeah. I mean, let's face it. You start throwing those things around and all hell's going to break loose. And you don't have two cultures that are really calm, cool, and collected. They got nothing to lose. They hate each other so much, it's ridiculous.
Well, Jim Blythe, I also saw that you had the honor of emceeing the 50th commemoration of the end of the Vietnam War at the Medal of Honor Museum. I haven't even been in there yet. I guess I got to go.
You got to go. I think it's good. I think they're learning. They're learning about a whole lot of things. It's really beautiful. It's really unique. I'd take a weekday and go there and go on a tour. I got to tell you the truth. I've done 2 events there now, and I have not had a chance to go up and actually go through the museum because I've been working there both times. But that is a beautiful place. And the commemoration of basically the fall of Saigon, we were able to honor a large number of Vietnamese people and say thank you, that you've come to this country and you've contributed a lot. So that was an honor for me to be a part of.
All right. Well, Jim Blythe, Veterans Impact Show, thank you very much for helping out with this breaking news on India, Pakistan. If you want to see more of his show, there's a lot of good videos on the Facebook page for the Veterans Impact Show. And I didn't check YouTube. You got a bunch of stuff on YouTube, too?
Yeah, YouTube. And we're on DBTV .TV network. And we're just getting out there to try and help people. So it's all about hope, help, and healing.
All right. Sounds like a noble ambition. I appreciate your expertise in the breaking news, Jim Blythe. Appreciate it, sir. Come back sometime.
All right, buddy.
There he is. And I want to share with you some feedback on a couple of the bigger topics that we had. First, I had an email from John on the issue of the Trump Pope picture. If you weren't listening earlier, I can summarize really quick. Over the weekend, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social an AI-generated picture of himself dressed up as the Pope. And some people were telling you that you're supposed to be offended by that because the Pope just died and he's mocking Christianity and his Holy Father and whatnot. Oh, stop it. No one's offended by that. Christians aren't offended by that. There's no Catholics that are offended by that unless they already hated Trump before. It's not like someone changed their mind because they saw. It's not an offensive picture. And I remember when I was laughing at it this weekend, I think I saw on Sunday, someone like one of the Krasenstein brothers was trying to make a point, and he made an AI-generated picture of Obama as the Pope. They're like, well, if Trump as the Pope doesn't offend you, what about this? Well, yeah, that doesn't offend me either. Duh. You don't get it, do you? So John says on the Trump Pope picture situation, he says, good afternoon, James. You should be offended, they say. That's in quotes. You should be offended, they say. Nah, offense is a choice. If one can take offense, one can choose not to take offense. Offense is not an emotion. It's a cognitive response. For years now, I've chosen not to take offense, not to be offended, and it served me very well. Yeah, that's something you see. Like, you do choose to be offended. There's people in the media, people who share my skin tone, that if you tell them, hey, there's a famous guy who got caught on a microphone saying the N-word, they don't know if they're going to be offended until they find out the race of the guy who said it. So it's a total choice. Like, you turn this switch in your head. Okay, well, now I'm offended. And I don't know if I'm just missing a gene or I don't have fully developed adult emotions, but I don't have that reaction to pretty much anything. Like, man, I can't remember the last time I was offended. I'm sure there's something out there that I find offensive, but it's never anything that I get accused of. Oh, people tell me you're offended by such and such. No, I'm not. Well, why do you find such and such so offensive? I don't. I disagree with it. I'm not offended by it. Like homophobia, I'm not scared of gay people. You just don't agree with my political position on some nuanced policy. You don't have to make me a bad person over it, but I kind of feel the same way about offense. You choose whether or not you're offended. I'm not sure if there's a word you could throw at me where it's like, oh, yeah, well, them's fighting words. Oh, did you say this super secret offensive word? Now I have to risk going to jail for assault and battery to prove my point. You don't have that power over me. I'm not giving it to you. I'm not offended. I love that attitude, John. The other email comes from Steven, and it's from a different topic. Trump had proposed reopening Alcatraz. It's going to have to be remodeled, of course. We got to bring it up to date. But since we're in there building already, the proposal that a lot of people have been laughing about online is let's make it like a celebrity prison, and you could have tours in there. And I was saying you could embed cameras in there and make it like a reality show, and you can see who's going to stab Jared from Subway today. There'd be all kinds of fun reality shows that could pop up out of it. Steven says, how about a proposed bed and breakfast facility for future inmates and criminal hacks, including a swimming pool, garden parties, room service, and ferry boat rides to boot, along with movie star cameos, among other things. Okay, so do the inmates stay at the bed and breakfast, or do you and I and Sean, when we go visit Alcatraz, do we stay in the bed and breakfast? Because I think if you're thinking in the terms of the reality show, you can make them do like little missions or like physical challenges, like from Double Dare, and whoever wins gets to go into the swimming pool or to have a garden party while they're in Alcatraz. So you could see the physical challenge competition between, I don't know, Joe Exotic and R. Kelly or whatever, and whoever wins gets to stay at the bed and breakfast facility. They get room service that night. Would this be a great reality show? Think of all the trash that passes for reality shows these days. Oh, we've got Cajun Pawn Stars. Oh, that's a show? You mean to tell me that there's a market for that, but not for the Real Housewives of Alcatraz or House Husbands or whatever, Real Criminals of Alcatraz? We'll work on the name, but it's a good idea. Steven, love it. Thank you. If you have any more feedback, james@wbap.com is my email. But truth be told, 80% of the people who communicate with me these days will use Facebook Instant Messenger. I don't know why. That's the default setting for my crowd, but I'll go with that. Stick around. Coming up next is the Mark Levin Show. But if you need more James Show action, and when I get out of here, I'm about to go put up the podcast. You can find it where you're already listening to podcasts, but I prefer if you go to the WBAP app, or if you're on a desktop computer, go to WBAP.com. Either way, just go listen to it. Tell someone about the James Show. Find me on Facebook and Twitter and all the social medias. Like, subscribe, share. Help me grow this thing. I like this job, and I want to keep it. I'm James Parker. This has been the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.